When it comes to storing foods that are said to last forever, you still need to respect the rules of proper storage. Sure, these items are hardy, but if you want to make the most of their longevity and avoid wasting money or effort, you need to get serious. These foods don't expire, but poor storage conditions will absolutely ruin them. Here's exactly how to protect your stash of forever foods. Stick to cool, dark, and dry storage. Unless you want your food supply to turn into a science experiment, temperature, light, and moisture control aren't optional. Store forever foods like rice, honey, salt, or beans at room temperature. Think 55 to 75 def. Anything hotter and you're risking faster degradation. Avoid extreme environments like garages, sheds, or spaces that see significant temperature swings. Basements, closets, or spare bedrooms are perfect spaces, assuming they're free of dampness or heat sources. Light and heat are the enemy. They both cause chemical changes that break down even the tough-as-nails foods on this list. For storage longevity, everything should be tucked away from windows, heat vents, or any spot where condensation could show up out of nowhere. Packaging is the difference between success and a mess. Don't toss your supplies on a shelf in flimsy original packaging and expect them to survive. Packaging is the first line of defense between food and spoilage. For dry food items, think grains like rice, pasta, dried beans, spices, and more. You need Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. Mylar bags provide a strong barrier against light, moisture, and air. Pair them with oxygen absorbers to eliminate oxygen, which creates an inhospitable environment for pests and mold. Pay attention to the details, though. Don't use oxygen absorbers for things like salt or sugar, as it causes clumping. Once you've tightly sealed the Mylar bags, throw them into a food-safe bucket for an extra layer of protection against moisture, pests, or just your clumsy hands knocking things over. Freezing food isn't always the answer. Some people insist on freezing everything. Don't. Freezing is optional for certain foods, and if not done right, it can cause more problems later on. For example, rice doesn't need extended freezing if you've stored it properly in Mylar with oxygen absorbers. But if you're paranoid about potential insect eggs or pests, a short stint in the freezer 3 to 5 days works before transferring to dry storage. For items like ground flour, a brief freeze can kill off any lurking critters before long-term storage. Just don't make freezing your pantry's main backup plan. After all, power outages can ruin anything in your freezer in no time. Stick to dry storage for better reliability overall. Use it, don't lose it. Forever doesn't mean you get to stash it and forget about it. Treat your pantry like a living, breathing system. Regularly rotate your food supply. This means using up older stored foods before digging into the newly packed ones. Rotation avoids issues like excess wear on packaging or unnoticed damage that could have led to moisture or pests sneaking in. You should have a plan for consuming what you store, even if you don't think you'll need to for years. Cooking with these items keeps you familiar with how they taste and how best to use them. Plus, regular use ensures nothing sits too long, even if it technically never expires. Keep your pantry safe from everyone. This is the part no one likes to think about, but it matters. Don't broadcast your stocked pantry to everyone you know. That's like holding up a sign that says, "Come raid my house if things go south." Security starts with keeping your supplies private. If you stockpile significant quantities, consider how you'd secure them in emergencies. Buckets and sealed containers create a level of protection, not just from pests but from prying eyes or sticky fingers. Remember, keeping details like this to yourself minimizes risks of attention that you just don't need. Foods that don't expire when stored properly. 1. Honey. Honey is one of the few foods that will never go bad if it's real and raw, not the fake, processed stuff. Archaeologists have even discovered pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are still edible thousands of years later. The secret lies in its unique chemical makeup. Honey is naturally low in moisture and high in sugars, which creates an environment where bacteria and microorganisms simply can't survive. Add its mildly acidic nature to the mix, and you have the ultimate preservative. This everlasting food isn't just for sweetening your tea or drizzling on toast either. Honey has long been prized for its medicinal properties. Its natural antibacterial qualities make it effective for healing wounds, soothing sore throats, and even treating burns. Keep in mind, though, that not all honey is created equal. The raw, unprocessed variety is what carries these benefits. Those bottles of imitation honey or overly filtered versions packed with corn syrup, useless. Store your honey properly in a tightly sealed container at room temperature, and you'll always have a natural sweetener and healer at your fingertips. Just remember, it might crystallize over time, but that's no big deal. Just warm it up and it's good as new. 2. Sugar. Sugar is one of the ultimate forever foods. If stored correctly, it can last indefinitely, making it a staple in long-term food storage. The key to maintaining sugar's endless shelf life is proper storage. Moisture and light are its greatest enemies, so it must be kept in airtight containers, such as mylar bags or jars, to preserve its quality. Without exposure to moisture, sugar won't clump, spoil, or attract pests, meaning it's always ready when you need it. Don't overthink this. Storing sugar is simple. Keep it sealed and in a cool, dry place. Sugar doesn't need fancy additives or preservatives to stay good forever, just basic protection from the environment. However, if you leave it exposed, expect it to harden or become contaminated, ruining its usability. Bottom line? Sugar isn't just a sweetener, it's a survivalist's ally. From baking to preserving or just adding a touch of flavor, sugar stays reliable as long as you're smart about storing it. Treat it right, and it will outlast just about anything in your pantry. 3. Apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is one of those magical items that never goes bad. When stored properly, especially high-quality versions that contain the mother, it can last forever. You can keep it sitting in your pantry for years without worrying about expiration dates. Its durability makes it a top-tier choice for anyone looking to stock up on lifetime use items. The versatility of apple cider vinegar is unmatched. It's not just something you splash into a salad dressing. You can use it for cleaning, cooking, or even tackling health issues. Need a natural cleaner? Dilute it with water, and it's ready to go. Want a digestive boost? Take a tablespoon mixed in water. It's seemingly simple, but its usefulness stretches far beyond expectations. Why waste money on multiple products when this one does it all? Whether you're preparing for the apocalypse or just like the idea of buying a product that won't rot away, apple cider vinegar is the real deal. All you need is a bottle or two, and it's there whenever you need it. No fuss, no replacements. It's practical, indestructible, and indispensable. 4. Pure vanilla extract. Pure vanilla extract is one of those pantry staples that will outlast almost everything else in your kitchen. The reason? It's alcohol-based. This means it doesn't spoil, go bad, or lose its potency as long as it's stored correctly. Keep it in a dark, cool place with the lid tightly sealed, and it will stay fresh indefinitely. That's why it's a key ingredient worth investing in. No need to worry about replacing it. If store-bought isn't your thing, making your own is simple and just as everlasting. All you need are high-quality vanilla beans and a bottle of any decent alcohol like vodka or rum. Slice the beans open, submerge them in the alcohol, and store the mixture somewhere dark and cool for a few months to develop its full flavor. Once done, you have homemade vanilla extract that's as good as any on the shelf and virtually timeless. Don't confuse this with cheap imitation vanilla. Those are loaded with additives and don't last as long. Pure vanilla extract is the real deal, aromatic, flavorful, and a forever food you can always rely on in your baking adventures. 5. Maple syrup. Maple syrup is one of those foods that doesn't care about time. When stored properly, pure maple syrup will literally last forever. Don't confuse this with those cheap, artificial syrups loaded with chemicals and preservatives. Those don't count. We're talking about the real stuff here, the kind that comes straight from the tree. Its naturally high sugar content is what keeps it from spoiling, making it a powerhouse for long-term storage. Use it sparingly or indulge either way. It's a reliable sweetener that you'll never have to throw away. Perfect for pancakes, waffles, desserts, or even as an ingredient in sauces and marinades. Maple syrup's versatility makes it a pantry staple. Just make sure to store it in a cool, dark place or in the freezer if it's opened. Spoiled syrup? Not a thing. Even if it develops some crystals or a bit of surface mold, it's easy to clean up and use again. Maple syrup is comfort food at its finest. And in a world where expiration dates seem to lurk everywhere, it's nice to have one less thing to worry about. Maple syrup isn't just sweet, it's immortal. 6. Salt. Salt is one of the most indispensable and versatile items you can have in your pantry, and the best part is it doesn't spoil ever. When stored properly in an airtight container and kept dry, salt remains good indefinitely. There's no need to overcomplicate its storage or add extra preservatives like oxygen absorbers. It simply isn't necessary. Aside from its role as a fundamental seasoning, salt has countless uses beyond improving the flavor of food. It's a natural preservative, making it a lifesaver for curing meats or pickling vegetables in survival situations. It's also invaluable for tasks like cleaning, treating wounds, and even as a component in homemade cleaning solutions. Salt doesn't degrade with time. Its simplicity is its power, and it sits in a league of its own when it comes to essential survival or emergency supplies. Unlike many other foods, salt won't fail you or suddenly lose its utility. If you're stocking up for long-term storage or just want to ensure your pantry has a rock-solid staple, this is your go-to item. Salt is cheap, infinite in shelf life, and endlessly useful. Make sure you have plenty of it. 7. Cornstarch. Cornstarch is one of those foods that simply doesn't go bad. Forget worrying about expiry dates, they're irrelevant here. When stored properly in an airtight container, cornstarch can last indefinitely. It doesn't spoil, it doesn't degrade, and it remains just as effective as the day you bought it. This pantry essential is versatile, used for thickening soups, sauces, and gravies, or even as an ingredient in baking. It doesn't rely on refrigeration or freezing, and moisture is its only enemy. If you take the simple step of keeping it in a dry, sealed container, you never have to worry about throwing it out. Cornstarch's indefinite shelf life makes it a must-have for long-term storage and emergency preparedness. Stock up on it, repackage it properly, and you'll always have a reliable ingredient on hand, no matter how much time passes. This is a food staple that just doesn't fail. Why waste time replacing it when it will stay perfectly fine forever? 8. Wheat. Wheat is one of the ultimate survival foods thanks to its ability to last indefinitely when properly stored. Wheat berries, the most basic form of wheat, are especially effective for long-term storage because they remain intact and retain their nutritional value for decades. Store them in airtight containers, keep them dry, and they'll last forever. It's that simple. The versatility of wheat also makes it a powerhouse food. You can grind it into flour for baking, use it as a whole grain in soups, or even sprout it for added nutrients. It adapts to a variety of needs, meaning it won't just sit on your shelf gathering dust. Wheat provides a critical base for almost any meal, whether you're crafting your own bread or improvising a hearty breakfast cereal. However, it requires some work. Grinding wheat into flour takes effort and time, but the payoff is having a nutrient-dense, reliable food source that's almost impossible to spoil. That kind of staying power makes wheat a no-brainer for anyone serious about long-term food storage. If you're considering items to stockpile, skip the trendy snacks and focus on the basics. Wheat is as timeless as it gets. 9. Soy sauce. Soy sauce is practically indestructible, making it one of the easiest pantry staples to keep around forever. Thanks to its high sodium content and fermentation process, this salty, umami-packed liquid won't go bad. It doesn't matter if it's been sitting in your pantry for years, soy sauce will still flavor your stir-fries, marinades, and even soups like it was bottled yesterday. Just keep the lid on tight and store it in a cool, dark place, and you'll always have a reliable source of flavor at your fingertips. Need to enhance a bland dish? Soy sauce has your back. Whether you cook daily or rarely lift a spatula, adding soy sauce to your pantry is a smart move. Expiration dates don't apply here, there's no fear of spoilage. It's nearly immune to time. A splash of soy sauce can bring depth to a meal instantly. Why buy something that will turn into a science experiment in a month when soy sauce lasts forever? If there's one thing to have in your kitchen for emergencies, it's this simple, eternal condiment. 10. White rice. White rice is a staple food that is practically immortal when stored properly. With a shelf life of up to 30 years, it's one of the best options for long-term food storage. The key to its longevity lies in airtight conditions. Keep it sealed in vacuum-packed bags or food-grade buckets to ensure it lasts. Unlike brown rice, which goes rancid due to its high oil content, white rice is polished and processed, eliminating the fatty layers that spoil over time. Don't mistake all rice for being equal when it comes to storage. If you plan to stockpile food, ditch the brown variety altogether. While it may have slightly more nutrients, it's useless for your long-term goals because it won't last. White rice offers versatility, pairing with almost any dish, but its true value is in its durability. It doesn't matter if you're prepping for a disaster or just building a reserve for your pantry. White rice is one of the most reliable foods to have on hand. Do yourself a favor and start storing white rice correctly now. It costs little, stores easily, and it will be there when you need it most, whether tomorrow or decades down the road. Skip the fancy grains, stick with what lasts. 11. Powdered Jell-O. Powdered Jell-O is basically immortal. If it's unopened and stored properly, this sugary, colorful mix can last for decades without breaking a sweat. It doesn't matter if it's sitting in the back of your pantry for years, powdered Jell-O doesn't care. The secret to its longevity lies in its composition. It's made of dry ingredients, primarily sugar and gelatin, which are not exactly the kind of stuff that spoils easily. However, it's important to keep it away from moisture, as water is the sworn enemy of its indefinite shelf life. If moisture sneaks in, you can forget about it lasting for eternity. While it's not a superfood by any means, powdered Jell-O can definitely be a comfort food or an emergency dessert. Whether you're prepping for a long-term food supply, stocking up for uncertain times, or just a forgetful cook who neglects kitchen organization, powdered Jell-O is a weirdly reliable choice. Sure, it's not fancy or nutritious, but when everything else has gone bad, you'll still have that oddly satisfying gelatin option to turn to. Toss it in your pantry and forget about it. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. 12. White distilled vinegar. White distilled vinegar is the ultimate workhorse among forever foods. Its shelf life is practically endless, making it a staple in any long-term pantry. This isn't just a cooking ingredient, it's a jack of all trades. From pickling vegetables to enhancing marinades, white vinegar is a key player in the kitchen. But its uses don't stop there. Outside of cooking, white distilled vinegar serves as a natural, powerful cleaning agent. Whether you're removing stains, eliminating odors, or descaling appliances, this humble liquid delivers results with zero risk of going bad. It doesn't require refrigeration or special storage conditions, either just keep it sealed and in a cool spot to maintain its integrity. The acidity level ensures that it remains effective and safe to use for decades. Unlike many products that boast long lifespans, white distilled vinegar is affordable, widely available, and endlessly versatile. It doesn't degrade, spoil, or lose potency over time. Whether you're preparing for emergencies or just want a reliable household staple, white vinegar is a no-brainer. It's simple, unpretentious, and just works forever. Keep a bottle handy, you'll wonder how you got along without it. 13. Corn syrup. Corn syrup is the ultimate kitchen staple for sweetening just about anything, and the best part, it never expires. This viscous liquid is a reliable, long-lasting sweetener made from cornstarch, and it can sit on your pantry shelf indefinitely without going bad. Forget worrying about spoilage or degradation. Corn syrup is as stable as it gets. Unlike honey, which may crystallize over time, corn syrup remains consistent in its texture and performance. It doesn't require special storage conditions, just keep it sealed and away from direct sunlight. That's it. No refrigeration. No overthinking. Corn syrup is practically invincible in a properly sealed container. Whether you're making desserts, candies, or need a quick way to enhance the flavor of a dish, corn syrup has your back. Sure, it's not the healthiest option, but its longevity and versatility make it a no-brainer for a long-term pantry item. Simply put, corn syrup is the sweetener that refuses to die. Don't overcomplicate it, just add it to your list of forever foods. It'll be there when you need it. 14. Hard liquor. Hard liquor, including whiskey, vodka, gin, and other spirits, is one of the ultimate forever foods, thanks to its virtually indefinite shelf life. These high-proof alcohols contain no water content once bottled that can sustain bacteria, meaning they won't spoil or degrade over time if stored properly. This makes them an essential item not only for drinking but also for survival purposes. The utility of hard liquor goes far beyond its obvious role as a drink. It's a versatile tool for medical emergencies, capable of disinfecting wounds or being used as a pain reliever when no other options are around. Spirits are also ideal for preserving herbs in tinctures or making extracts, extending their usefulness further. Whether you're looking to bolster your emergency stockpile or simply want a product that won't go bad, hard liquors are a no-brainer. To get the most out of hard liquor, keep bottles tightly sealed and store them in a cool, dark place. Avoid exposure to extreme heat or sunlight, which could potentially affect the flavor even if it won't spoil the spirit. Whether it's for a celebratory toast or a last resort antiseptic, hard liquor's long-lasting reliability makes it a survival essential worth having on hand. 15. Beans and lentils. Nothing beats the longevity and utility of dry beans and lentils. When stored properly, these tiny powerhouses can last for up to 30 years. Yes, that's right, 3 whole decades. Even as they harden over time, they don't lose their nutritional value. They're still packed with protein, fiber, and essential nutrients, making them a reliable food source no matter how long they've been in storage. However, there's a catch. Older beans may take longer to soak and cook because of their hardened texture. That's just the price you pay for having a food item that outlasts almost everything else in your pantry. If you're in a rush, these might not be ideal, but if you plan ahead, they'll serve you just fine. Beans and lentils are versatile, filling, and essentially eternal if stored in a cool, dry place. The bottom line? Whether you're preparing for emergencies or just stocking up to avoid constant grocery runs, dry beans and lentils are a no-brainer. Their durability, paired with their nutritional benefits, makes them a must-have in any long-term food supply. Don't complicate it, beans and lentils are timeless staples. 16. Powdered milk. Powdered milk is a staple that never goes bad if stored properly. Being fat-free, it has an indefinite shelf life, making it an essential item for anyone focused on long-term food storage. The key is maintaining dry, airtight conditions. Moisture is the enemy here. Once exposed, powdered milk can clump or spoil, but when kept sealed, it remains just as usable years down the line. It's versatile too. You can use it for baking, cooking, or reconstitute it into liquid milk when fresh milk isn't available. This is the kind of food you should always keep in your pantry. Whether you're preparing for emergencies, stocking up for survival situations, or simply planning ahead, powdered milk doesn't disappoint. Plus, it's lightweight and space-efficient, ideal for tight storage spaces. There's no excuse for not including it in your inventory. It holds nutritional value, provides protein, and works as a dependable substitute in recipes. Once you've got your powdered milk properly stored, you don't need to worry about it going to waste. It's simple, effective, and one of the most reliable forever foods out there. 17. Instant coffee, tea, and cocoa. When it comes to beverages that stand the test of time, instant coffee, tea, and cocoa are essential pantry staples. These items are not just about utility but provide a sense of comfort and normalcy in emergencies or long-term storage scenarios. Their powdered form and airtight packaging make them highly resistant to spoilage, ensuring they retain their quality and flavor for years. Instant coffee can provide that much-needed caffeine jolt. Even in the most trying circumstances, tea offers calming moments, and cocoa satisfies cravings for something warm and indulgent. Unlike perishables, they don't demand refrigeration or fancy storage practices. Just keep them sealed and dry, and they'll remain as good as new. Fancy expiration dates? Forget about them. These products are functional for the long haul. Whether you're preparing for unforeseen events or just looking for reliable comfort options, instant coffee, tea, and cocoa have your back. They even work as barter items in survival situations, given their universal appeal. Bottom line? Stock up. You won't regret having these forever foods in your arsenal when convenience and reliability are non-negotiable. 18. Baking soda. Baking soda is the ultimate forever food. It doesn't spoil, degrade, or lose its potency over time. This makes it a reliable staple for households everywhere. It's not just for baking, you can use it for cleaning, deodorizing, and even personal care. Got a stain on your kitchen counter? Baking soda can fix it. Need to freshen up your fridge? Toss in a small open container, and it absorbs odors like magic. Run out of toothpaste? Mix it with water, and it does the job surprisingly well. What's even better is how cheap and accessible it is. You can buy it in bulk for next to nothing and have enough for years. Unlike specialized products that do one thing, baking soda is multifunctional, which means you don't have to clutter your pantry or spend money on other items that won't last as long. It's the perfect example of a low-cost item with a high utility payoff. If you're stocking up on foods and household essentials that never expire, this belongs on your list, no question about it. Baking soda is proof that sometimes the simplest items are the best investments. 19. Instant bouillon. Instant bouillon cubes are survival pantry leaders. Packed with a ridiculously high salt content, these tiny flavor bombs refuse to expire. That's right, these little cubes have an indefinite shelf life, making them an essential for anyone preparing for emergencies or simply wanting convenience without concern for spoilage. The salt acts as a powerful preservative, meaning bacteria and moisture don't stand a chance. To extend their usability even further, store them in an airtight container. Exposure to air or moisture might not make them unsafe to eat, but it could alter the texture or make them clump, which isn't ideal. Kept properly sealed, these cubes will outlast almost anything in your kitchen. Whether you're making soups, stews, or adding a little flavor enhancement to a dish, instant bouillon ensures you'll never be without. Forget about expiration dates or food waste, instant bouillon is here to stay. It's reliable, cheap, and practically immortal in storage terms. If you're stocking up for the long haul, don't overlook this no-nonsense, no-expiration food item. It's proof that simplicity paired with salt can go a very long way. 20. Dried corn. Dried corn is a food that stands the test of time. When stored correctly, it can last indefinitely, outlasting almost any other food in your pantry. Proper storage requires a cool, dry environment and sealing it in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags to prevent moisture or pests from sneaking in. If you get this right, dried corn can sit on your shelf for decades without any noticeable decline in quality. It's incredibly versatile, too. You can grind it into cornmeal for baking, boil it for soups and stews, or even pop it into popcorn for a quick snack. This makes it a go-to choice for preppers, survivalists, or anyone who just values having reliable food options at hand. Unlike fresh produce, dried corn doesn't need refrigeration or frequent rotation, just store and forget. However, be warned, you can't just leave it sitting open to air and humidity. Improper storage will invite mold, insects, or spoilage. If you want your dried corn to live up to its reputation as a forever food, you have to put in minimal but essential effort. Get the storage right, and you've got a food item that will outlive you. It's that simple. 21. Powdered cocoa. Pure, Unsweetened powdered cocoa is built to last. Its low moisture content means there's no room for spoilage, making it a pantry powerhouse. Keep it dry and sealed, and it will reward you with its rich chocolatey essence for years to come. Forget about worrying if it's gone bad. Properly stored cocoa powder doesn't expire in any practical sense. The secret lies in its simplicity. Powdered cocoa contains no added ingredients like sugar or milk solids, which are the culprits behind food expiration. This is why it outlives fancy cocoa mixes or instant hot chocolate packets. It's just pure, powdered chocolate goodness that stays ready for action. Whether you're baking brownies, making hot cocoa, or adding a hint of flavor to your smoothie, store it smart. Airtight containers in a cool, dry place are all it takes to preserve its quality. No refrigeration, no special tricks, just straightforward storage. If clumps form, sift it. If you're questioning its potency, smell it. If it still smells chocolatey, you're good to go. Powdered cocoa doesn't mess around. It's tough, dependable, and always ready to deliver. 22 Potato flakes. Potato flakes are an essential item when it comes to long-term food storage. These dehydrated flakes of potato can last indefinitely if stored correctly. The key is making sure they remain in airtight Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Without exposure to oxygen or moisture, potato flakes maintain their texture and nutritional value for years, making them an invaluable addition to survivalists' pantries. They are versatile and easy to use. Rehydrate them with water and you have instant mashed potatoes, no peeling or boiling required. Alternatively, use them as a thickening agent for soups and stews, or even incorporate them into doughs and breading mixtures. This convenience, combined with their endless shelf life when stored properly, makes potato flakes a smart, no-nonsense choice for ensuring food security. Improper storage kills the longevity of this item. You leave them exposed to air, and they'll absorb moisture, rendering them useless. Don't make that mistake. Keep them sealed and shielded from humidity, and they'll stay good forever. If you're preparing for emergencies or just simplifying your meal prep with shelf-stable staples, potato flakes are a clear winner. 23 Oats. Oats are one of the most reliable long-term food storage options you can find. When packaged correctly, such as in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, they can last for up to 30 years without any degradation in quality. Their versatility makes them an essential staple for any survival pantry. You can use oats to prepare a variety of meals, from a hearty breakfast to baked goods, and they serve as a critical source of energy and nutrients. The high fiber content in oats is unmatched, offering both satiation and digestive health benefits. They're rich in essential vitamins like B1 and minerals like magnesium and phosphorus, making them far more nutritious than typical processed foods. On top of that, oats are lightweight and easy to store. Whether you're dealing with an emergency or simply stocking up, they take up minimal space. Don't underestimate the value of a food that's both nourishing and non-perishable. Proper storage is non-negotiable, though. If you want those 30 years of shelf life, keep oats away from moisture, air, and pests. Failing this means waste, and that's all on you. Done right, oats are a forever food you can count on.